I used to spit you out like fire, bitter taste I could not hide. Every time you showed your face, I only felt the burn inside. But shadows change when light gets closer. What I cursed I now hold tight. The thorn I hated in my garden became the rose that saved my life. I learned to love the thing I fear, turn the ache into a song I hear. The stone that cut me, I made it shine. What once was poison now tastes like wine. Love grew in the place of rage. I'm dancing inside the cage. I learned to love the thing I hate, and now it feels like fate. I hate it, now it feels like fate. Every wound is just a teacher, every scar a secret key. You were the mirror I avoided, but you still reflected me. I swallow storms until they sigh, for kiss the teeth that used to bite. You were my enemy in daylight, but my salvation in the night. I learned to love the thing I fear, turn the ache into a song I hear. The stone that cut me, I made it shine. What once was poison now tastes like wine. Love grew in the place of rage. I'm dancing inside the cage. I learned to love the thing I hate, and now it feels like you were the shadow under my skin. I let you in, I let you in, and in that losing, I found my breath, I found my life inside your I learned to love the thing I fear, turn the ache into a song I hear. The stone that cut me, I made it shine. What once was poison now tastes like wine. Love grew in the place of rage. I'm dancing inside the cage. I learned to love the thing I hate, and now it feels like fate. Hate became a holy gate, open wide I walk through late. Now the thorn I used to break is the flower I embrace.
I love this song. I love this song. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. I like Magdalena Bay too. All right. Hello. My name is Shaman Patrick. Welcome to the Shaman Patrick Show. I'm back in black and white because I just cannot do color. I cannot do color. Today, we are going to be continuing with the documentary that David Icke did with Credo, Mutwa. Running a little bit late. I feel like we had a lot of videos and content just kind of come out all at once. We're in the rollout of our new album. You Want to Be Enlightened. I think it's the funnest album I've ever done. It's definitely the funnest. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it all. All right, so we're going to get started. So let's do a quick recap. David Icke interviewed Zulu shaman Credo Mutwa. And it's a fascinating documentary. It's a 6-hour documentary. And so far we've gotten through 1 hour and 42 minutes of it. We've gotten through 1 hour and 42 minutes of the documentary. And we're going to continue with this documentary today. So he's talked about how the reptilians delivered technology to human beings long ago. I've had my own revelations. I feel like listening to this documentary is like shaman to shaman. He's unlocking things for me, and it's really a wonderful experience. And I don't know if I would watch the whole 6-hour documentary on my own. I don't know if I would be able to do that. Why? Ego, probably. And things are fun in a group. So for those of you who are here now and watching on the replay, we are going to have a really good time. Even though you might not think that talking about reptilians is all that fun. I do. Now let me tell you, I think that the old ways are over. I think that these control mechanisms have failed. And I think that what we might be experiencing now on this planet is sort of a cleanup crew, a cleanup squad, and that everything is going to be fine. So I think a lot of the information in this video, this documentary, might be outdated. It may no longer apply to what we're going through now, but there's always more to learn from it. So thank you for joining me on today. We're going to go until about noon Central Standard Time. We're going to try to get through a little bit of this documentary today. I like taking my time with it. So for those of you who are keeping up with this series, thank you so much. If you would like to help grow this channel, please like and subscribe, comment, or use an emoji if you got nothing to say. Share this with others that you think might be into this. And also you can join this channel and support the work we do. Thank you for watching and growing with us, because I'm growing right along with you, honey. I am growing right along with you. All right. So let's start this documentary.
Size. And then I got so sick I could barely open my eyelids. The skin was itching like mad and I could barely breathe. And as the days went by, it was about a week, but it seemed like 100 years. Slowly the rush subsided, and my skin began to peel.
So I kind of went back a little bit in the documentary to talk about this. You know, he ate something. Somebody gave him something to eat, and it made him very sick, and it almost killed him. And he was told that it was the flesh of a god, and this was another initiation. He's talked a little bit more about some initiations, but this is another initiation.
As did my friend's skin and the skin of his wife. We were very, very, very sick. And when I could speak, I asked him, what was the thing that you gave me to eat? This is the thing that has made us so sick. Why did you do this, my friend? He said, look, what we shared was something that can only be eaten while you are hiding in a hole. And that thing is the flesh of a god. I said, God? He said, yes. I said, but I am sick now. He said, wait, you'll recover. You either die within 2 days or you recover. Now we are going to recover because we are still alive after 2 days. Mr. Egg, I can't describe to you what happened next. I wish you to imagine this. You are sick, weak, and feverish. Suddenly, you get stuck, staring, raving, laughing mad. We started laughing. It was utterly incredible. What had made us what had caused the laughter we did not know, but we laughed for hours, all three of us. And then, when our jaws couldn't laugh anymore, a new thing happened. My friend's eldest daughter gave us all water. And when I drank that water, my sense of taste was so heightened that I was utterly shaken. Ordinary water from a mountain spring tasted like, I don't know like what, like wine, like something out of I don't know where. My taste buds must have been souped up somehow. And then another feeling, which I cannot describe, fell over all of us. It was a feeling as if we were one with the entire universe. When I looked at a tree outside my friend's homestead, it was as if that tree was a multicolored living rainbow. When I looked at the mountain far away, my sense of sight was so intense that I could see colors beyond colors. I can't give you any other description. And then say, afterwards, I was very weak, but with a monstrous appetite. And then I left my friend's homestead and returned to South Africa. Every step of the way, I seemed like a person reborn. It was a feeling that no words can describe. And when I asked my friend by letter afterwards, what was this God flesh? He said it had been the...
So what do you think the God flesh is? Because I want to just kind of talk about this before he reveals what it was that he ate. Like in my near-death experience, I remember tasting water like I was tasting it for the first time. There was several weeks where everything just seemed brand new, and I was walking through the streets of Chicago going, "Oh my gosh." It was such a new feeling. Like my favorite part of the year is fall. Like I love October. I woke up this morning and I love October, and it just feel I love, like, this time of the year is my favorite time of the year. I like the way the sun comes through the trees. I like the way the air feels. I just love it. And that after I had my near-death experience, it was in April of that year, but that went on like it felt like my favorite time of year for several weeks. And I would go out and it would just be gorgeous and beautiful. And things that I used to not think were beautiful, like I used to hate cars. I hated cars. I didn't like cars. I didn't like driving cars. But I was walking through Chicago and the cars were making noises and horn honks and driving over pothole covers and boom, boom, boom. And the cars were making a song. The cars were making music. And there was a rhythm that these cars were doing. It's like it was making music. Those are the kind of experiences that I had after I came back to life. I wasn't really aware that I was being made into a shaman at that point, but everything was new. Everything was beautiful. Things I used to hate, I now loved. It was very beautiful. So let's see what that God flesh was. And I know some of you out there might have similar experiences as well.
The flesh of a puana.
Yes, Joanne, my awareness had changed. That and the ego broke essentially because the ego is going to hate things. The ego is going to be resistant, and awareness changed.
What we call dread. Yes. People who say that these things don't exist had better think again.
So he ate the flesh of a reptilian, and you know what? I don't. I don't know if that's inaccurate. I don't know if that's inaccurate. Maybe something similar happened to me. I mean, I remember I had some people in my life at that time giving me drugs and food and items. It was very strange. I mean, it was weird.
They are tangible, they are smellable, and furthermore, they are edible if you are willing to take the risk. In Africa, we have an ancient custom whose existence many people deny today.
I want to talk about that. Like these reptilians are edible. They're tangible, they're real, and you can eat them.
That anything that claims to be a god should be eaten. There are places in Africa even now where if you are a spiritual person and you are sick, well, let me tell you what happened to me in the country today called Zaire. I got sick. I was undergoing yet another of my 7 initiations. And
So several initiations, but that's an interesting concept. Like if something claims to be a god, eat it. Interesting. Joanne says that makes me feel a little queasy. Yeah, I'm not good. I don't know if I'm going to be coming up with any reptilian recipes. I don't think I'm going to be doing that. But I mean, reptilians did visit me. And if I want to go back and look at my notes at that, and maybe when they visited me, it kicked off something else. I haven't thought about this in a very, very long time, but I do have notes and videos that I made around that time.
I fell sick from very bad running stomach. And I was so sick. Everything that my friends, white friends and black friends could do failed to help me. And then one night, some of my teachers came to me and requested that since I was going to die, would I please allow them the honor of eating me after death? Now, say, it's a very good thing to be invited to a thing, but not when you happen to be part of the menu. And I recovered so quickly that I escaped from that area in one of their ramshackle buses, and I never went back. Thank you very much.
That's funny. That's funny. Would that get you well? So if you die from this, we're just going to eat you? I think that would be funny. That would be funny. That would be funny.
Fear can be a wonderful medicine sometimes, and it was with me.
Do you think, Credo, that those senses that you experience, that really heightened sense of everything, of oneness, of whatever, are the very senses that the Chittahuli have manipulated out of us?
I do, sir. I do very much. They were senses like no human being possesses. May I add, no human being possesses anymore.
I definitely want to talk about this part because I'm really going to have to look at the timeline because I had that initial experience which I talked about in the last stream, and it didn't really stop being weird. My life has never stopped being weird. since then. I mean, my life has always been kind of strange, but after April 13th, 2013, my life has never been the same at all. I've had a lot more, I had a lot more experiences, some of which I probably have just forgotten, experiences with the Men in Black, other alien experiences, weird experiences. I know one guy, I'm going to tell you about this. A rich guy that I met on a hookup app sent a car for me, and I went to his big old house, and something happened. I don't remember what happened, but I know it was something kind of ritualistic and strange. And I remember being opened up. Now y'all know about that. I've talked about this. There's a secret network of shamans helping shamans. There's a secret network. There's an Arcturian council. There's a galactic federation. There's all this stuff going on behind the scenes. And I don't feel like I need to talk about it all that much. I think it doesn't need to be talked about, but there were key moments where people stepped in and helped me. And like I said, previously, that people gave me drugs and food, and I was well taken care of. I wasn't as on my own as some people might think. People traveled to Chicago to help me, and this is common with American shamans, especially shamans in the West. I would say those of us that are really going through it, not the sorcerers pretending to be shamans, but the people who are actually like here going through this process. And so he's talking about this new awareness that he got. I myself have had that new awareness and still have that new awareness. Things going on, like, and that the reptilians manipulated out of people. Like, I'm not special, okay? I'm not unique. Everybody has access to this stuff if they choose to go through the programming, or the deprogramming of it. And the fact that there were people there to help me, I'm eternally grateful for, because I know that not every shaman makes it. I know most don't. And in whatever way I can pay that forward, I am very excited and grateful to do that. I'm very excited. I realize what a rare thing it was to even make it through it at all. And, hearing from him talking about this stuff, if the reptilians manipulated it out of people, then who are the shamans that are I would say chosen or deemed? Like, why did the reptilians visit me? Why was this going on with him? If it's bad, why are some people granted deprogramming from it? So I will say that the awarenesses and the spiritual abilities that I have are in every human being. Every human being possesses that. So why is it that certain people, you might want to call them shamans, are granted relief from those manipulations and programming?
It was as if at one time, a voice was speaking in my head, a very amazing voice. And after that, my powers of prophecy.
Joanne Dunn, IME donated £2 through Super Chat. I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your truth.
Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you so much.
Were intensified. This is what I think. We human beings are holier and more wonderful than we think we are. And I feel we lost something at some time in the course of our development, or shall I say, in the course of our manipulation.
Credo, this is fascinating information, which I'm sure many people in the UFO research community will be very, very interested in. That is that these grey extraterrestrials or grey figures, whatever they are, don't actually really look like that. They're almost in disguise.
Yes, sir, they are. And I will tell you what. Grey aliens have died in various parts of Africa. They have been killed, and they are very, very quick to recover the bodies of their friends, which have fallen out of their crashed spacecraft. But sometimes African sangomas steal these bodies before they can be recovered.
Something is coming to me right now. I want to share it with you. So if like, I know that there's many out there that are scared of mass surveillance and all of that kind of stuff. What if that's not even the point of it? What if the point is not surveillance? What if people who are afraid or people who are fear-mongering about mass surveillance, it's actually technology to remove all of those blocks to who we really are? What if it's a way to jolt us into awakening? See, I don't think that what's going on in the world is that we're becoming any more of a prison planet than we already were. I think that the time has ended. I think that this is the Great Awakening, and anything that's going on. I watched a video from this bitch Taylor Lorenz, and I talked about this on the stream this morning. You know, the same people who are complaining about mass surveillance and technocrats and all of that are the same people who talk about gun control and wanting to have all of these gun laws without realizing that the guns that people own are the prevention of mass surveillance in a technocratic state. The fact that so many Americans have guns and are armed prevents against a tyrannical government. So there's some insanity there. Like, if you are really against fascism, you would be like, everybody should own a gun. And see the craziness. Yes, you can ask me a question about aliens, but you know, there's the insanity there about it, because the only reason that Americans have gun rights is to protect against a tyrannical government. That's the purpose of it. Natalie says, I think people are awakening to the trapped feeling and don't know what to do about it. So they protect it and get worked up in fear. Absolutely. Because when you to deal with aliens, high vibrational aliens, it's going to pull all the fear out of you, all of it. Joanne says, have you ever seen or experienced these ships coming from space to Earth? Because I always see them coming out of the water, never from above. Just wondered about your belief or experience. I myself have seen ships cloaked. Like, I requested that it's at one point my experience got so weird that I requested that it not be so weird. Like, my last interaction with the men in black was so freaky and weird. I was like, can you guys not be aliens anymore? Can you guys just be people with me? I don't want you guys to appear to me as aliens. I just want you to be random strangers or people that I meet. So when I see those ships, they look to me like weird clouds or shaped like clouds and things like that, because I requested that it look natural, because I don't want to get pulled too far out of this reality anymore. I appreciate this reality. I like being real. I like the reality of it. But I requested that. I requested that things look normal. You know, sometimes a spaceship might look like a city bus to me, and they did help me with that. And that was also something that the Greys did for me. I personally requested that it not look alien for me, because I'm here to have a human experience. I want it to be normal-ish. And you know, my last experience with the Men in Black, the last time I had an experience with the Men in Black, it was a white woman. they were appearing to me as a white woman with a black Labrador. They used to bring these purple dogs around me, and I was like, can y'all just look normal? Can you just look normal? So that was my request. Now, if other people want the weird experience, y'all can have that. But I don't like the weird. Even when I channel my ancestors or aliens today, I say, can you make it sound like it's my voice? So sometimes I'll be sharing things with you in my voice, but it's really them. I think some of you can pick up on that. I know many of you have picked up on that, but I don't necessarily want the division of it being as alien as it was. Joanne says, I saw them in the sky, but I don't think they come in from above. I believe they come in from the water. Yes. Yeah. I mean, some of them are already underwater. You know, like when I saw the movie The Abyss when I was younger, that made perfect sense to me, that there would be underwater. There would be aliens underwater. And, you know, he talks about it in this documentary, you know, that they're not necessarily from space, that they're from other dimensions and have been on the earth for a long time. I know that, you know, I'm a Namo, so I'm a water type. And so I know that people who are concerned about plastics in the ocean, you don't have to be. You can't pollute this planet. This planet cannot be polluted, because the stuff that we call pollution is raw materials for the building of alien civilizations in the water. Like the plastics in the ocean, those get filtered out and used by to build those underwater cities, so to speak. That's something that was revealed to me, and you can share that with other people. Like what we think it's pollution, but it's not. It is the production of raw materials for when they do appear in a physical form. It's raw materials for them to build their underwater cities and stuff like that. So we don't have to worry about that at all. But you can worry about that stuff if you want. You can worry about all that stuff if you want.
And believe me, sir, I have heard and I see that butchering the corpse of one of these creatures is extremely hard work. What you think is the skin of the creature is actually a tight-fitting costume that the creature is wearing. Under this grey costume, the creature, say, is pinkish white, like a freshly skinned animal, and its eyes are round with split pupils. These are goggles which the creature is wearing. Now, how do I know that? In order to dismember a creature like this, incidentally we call them Mandindane in Zulu, which means the tormentors, the torturers. In order to dismember a creature like this, you need a brand new axe from the trading store, a heavy axe sharpened to a razor's edge.
Sorry about that. I had to go pee, but I listened to what he said. And so the Greys are wearing a suit. And in the last stream that I did, I didn't remember the Greys that interacted with me having clothing. I don't remember them having clothing, that they were just kind of naked. But the suit that they wear is the clothes, like they're wearing and that inside of that suit there's something completely different. Yeah, it does make complete sense. It does. I'm a little wheezy. I'm wheezy, so I'm going to use my inhaler.
In order to cut through the creature's skin. the creature's skin is not adhering to the flesh. You know, my skin is clinging to my flesh, yes? But the creature, there is a gap between the creature's flesh and its supposed skin. This is a material and not a skin. So the creature is actually wearing two garments. It's wearing a completely skin-tight garment which covers its entire body. And it is wearing an overall along these lines. Very often there are no gloves. And
Gloves.
here, to cut up a mandindane, you need very, very sharp iron. And you have got to be a strong person even to reach its flesh. But once you have cut through the cover, the close-fitting covering, you can just open the whole thing and see the dead creature's flesh underneath it.
Is that brilliant?
Yes, sir. It is. I will tell you how the creature looks like without its gray skin.
All right. Before David asked him if it was a reptilian underneath that covering, and he said yes. And so and Joanne says that makes complete sense. The stuff about all this, you know, the last video that I debuted right before this was spiritual escapism. And I wanted to get that video I do a chronology because all of the episodes build on each other. Y'all know how I roll. But, you know, I don't consider this spiritual escapism because it happened to me. It's not in the airy-fairy, like, theoretical realm. Like, these are experiences that I had. And we look back on these experiences that we had. You know, we don't place a whole lot of emphasis on them but they have this way of waking us up out of the matrix. They have a way of in many ways purifying us. And so if you're a shaman, you're going to go through shit like this. Like a spiritual teacher who's just I don't know, becoming awakened may not go through shit like this. You may not, but these types of experiences are specific to shamans and other people who have been, I don't want to use the word chosen or maybe stumbled into it. Like you can definitely step in the cosmic doo-doo as Terrence McKenna puts it. But I don't consider these spiritual escapisms. Like these are things that I experienced and it's things that he experienced. Now, Joanne said, I never felt the Greys were humans from the future, so this makes much more sense. What I'm sharing with you today are field reports. What's funny, I used to work with a guy, and he said, man, I wish I had evidence that aliens are... I worked with him at the rehab. He loved aliens. And and I said, well, I've met aliens. I've had experiences with aliens. He didn't believe me. He didn't believe me at all. He preferred to listen to Linda, what's her name? He preferred to listen to the theoretical people. But I think there's like spiritual blocks because he couldn't hear anything I was saying. And what is her name? Linda... Is that her name? But she did a show for a while. I don't even know if she's still alive, but she did a lot of stuff with the cattle mutilations and stuff. But I think people are just blocked from hearing some of this stuff. But I said, I've had alien experiences, and he was like, okay. Do you want to know about aliens? I'll tell you all about them. No? Okay.
It is like certain types of tropical fish. It's like the belly of that type of fish that is fried in South Africa to make fish and chips. That gray grey fish, that's long grey fish. The texture of its real skin is like that. But the blood vessels are very close to the surface. In fact, not so long ago, Mr. Ike.
Now wait a minute. I just talked about being a Namo, and we're fish people. Like, we're fish people. So are greys Namo? Like, you don't hear that much about Namo, do you? I mean, when it was revealed to me that I was a Namo, I was like, this sounds familiar to me, but you don't hear that much about Namo. You hear about greys and reptilians, but are greys Namos in a suits? Because Linda Moulton Howell, thank you, Luna Jane Parker, thank you. But we don't hear that much about Namo, but a Namo not being in water would definitely have to wear a suit to be out of that water. I mean, I know I would.
Right here in South Africa, several hundred school children, some black, some colored, were terrorized by a creature they called Pinky Pinky. A creature which looked as if it had been skinned alive. That was a Mantindari without its skin or costume.
It's interesting.
I'm going to pause right there. I'm going to show you guys something. I want to show you guys something because there was a character in a movie that I was like, that's a Namo right there. That's a Namo right there. Let me show you this character. Do y'all know about Abe Sapien from the Hellboy series? Now look at this creature. In the last stream that we made. I'm trying to click on the wrong screen. But look at him. Like, he has the eyes. You know what I mean? He's got the look, and he has to, when he's on, he has to wear a suit. He has to wear a suit to be out of water. He has to wear that suit. So the Namo, let me talk a little bit about the Namo. So Namo can refer to the Dogon people's ancestral spirits from West Africa, sometimes depicted as amphibious beings, or it can refer to the power of the spoken word in Dogon cosmology, which generates life. It's also a line of speakers. But in Dogon cosmology, the Namo are hermaphroditic amphibious beings that were created by the supreme god Amma and are seen as the ancestors of the Dogon people. They are often depicted with humanoid upper bodies and fish-like lower bodies. Joanne says, I gotta go. I will watch later. Thank you. Have a beautiful weekend. Thank you very much, honey. The name Namo also represents the force of the spoken word, a power that creates harmony, brings life into existence, and shapes culture. So being a Namo is very important to me, being a shaman, because shamans create culture. And I've talked a little bit about this before, about how the buildings that we live in are books to the Namo. The architecture is their language. That architecture is how they speak, and that we are individual stories in Namo culture. Now, when we're talking about aliens, I want you to understand it's weird. Like opening up your mind and realizing how, alien we are, and how alien these aliens are, and that the Namo, and that's the way that it was presented to me. Whenever I would channel them, they would have a very robotic sounding voice. So wherever there's a culture, Namos create that culture. They tell stories, they bring things to life. These Namo, which aren't talked about, you know, they might be the next thing that we talk about in cosmology and ufology and stuff. People don't talk about it. Maybe I should talk about it more, being that I am a Namo and I would have lots of things to say about this. But I might even say that almost all shamans might be influenced by Namos as well. But there's when we understand how Namos create the culture, and that might be the thing, that Namos might be the reason we have art and music and language at all. And so the reptilians being involved in this, I'm going to really think about Greys being Namo. And I'm going to continue to listen to this documentary, but if the Greys are wearing a suit, then Namos would have to have a suit. I don't know. I don't think it's plural. It's Namo would have to wear a suit as well.
When you're talking about the black eyes of these Greys being a cover for something, and then you have the stories of the men in black who seem to interact not very positively, to say the least, with people involved in UFO and UFO investigation stuff. And these men in black have these black goggle-like sunglasses, which are almost a mirror of the same.
Exactly, sir. But let me tell you that over the last 100 years or so, the men in black have become westernized, in Africa at least. In old Africa,
this is interesting. He's talking about the men in black. For those of you who are paying attention, I might have a lot to say about all of this stuff. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? It's kind of crazy.
You killed a Mantindan, one of these. You were visited by terrible beings who wore long black robes made of animal skin and deep hoods over their heads. And these creatures used to wear white masks with very, very terrible looking black eyes painted on them. They were called Izilo Zenguvo.
Natalie says, my husband calls me a fish and I married a Pisces. LOL, maybe I'm a Namo too. I've met Namos before. I can't say if you're a Namo or not. I can't say that. But do some realizing about it. Like when somebody told me that I was a Namo, it just sounded true. I didn't even know that much about it. I was doing a ritual on camera and I drew gills on my neck. And she said, you're a Namo. And I don't know. It just sounds true. And then other things happened too. When Ashtar came to me, my husband and my friend, he referred to me as Namo. And that was like a confirmation. So I was, it wasn't something that I wanted. Like, it was just something that was just an understanding. And I never really delved too much into it. Holly was the one that channeled or received Ashtar. And so maybe someday I'll get Holly on an episode and we can talk about our experiences and in Chicago as she sort of hosted Ashtar. Natalie says, I've had a lot of dreams underwater with gills. Well, honey, explore that because that would make a lot of sense while we get along so well.
Beasts of the blanket. And may I tell you that these terrible beings, our African version of the men in black, used to play an important part in the choosing of certain kings in South Africa. That is one of the stories that I wish to tell you in greater detail one day. Whenever you have harmed a Mandinda, you received a visit from men in black. And one of my uncles was a night watchman just after the Second World War. And he saw what he thought was a burglar breaking into a factory which stored surplus army property. And he threw his knobkiri at this figure and hit it very hard.
So he said, if you harm a gray, you get a visit from the men in black, and that the men in black used to help choose kings. Doesn't this sound so logical to y'all? I mean, it sounds so logical to me.
The creature fell behind some boxes, and then and only then did my uncle, a tough old Zulu, realize that the thing he had brought down was not a human being at all, not a young thief, but a Mandinda. My uncle threw down his second stick and ran screaming out of the factory. And not long after that, because my uncle had taken from the creature what he thought was its bag, he took the bag with him to Alexander Township after he had run out of the factory, but he could not open the bag. And while he was sitting in the shack in Alexander Township, just near Johannesburg, there arrived at his shack 2 white men who posed as detectives. And these so-called detectives told my uncle's common law wife that she must give to them the bag that my uncle had taken from the little man. And she did, and they vanished. What I'm trying to say, Mr. Ike, is the richer we become, the more we behave as the Chitauli are said to behave. Some of us, when they acquire a lot of wealth, start consuming metals and other minerals that they really do not need, which, however, if you study the story of the Chitauri, you are told that the Chitauri use these minerals and metals as medicine. We are told, sir, that the Chitauri, when they get sick, smear their bodies with gold dust, which gets absorbed into their skins and they become all right. May I point out, it was once the custom of the Munumutapa kings of Zimbabwe, the men who built the Zimbabwe ruins, that on certain rising of the day star, the priest king would be smeared from head to foot with gold dust, and sometimes he was ritually sacrificed on the top of the wall of the Zimbabwe fortress. And to my amazement, when I visited South America, I found that the ancient Mayans had exactly the same custom where a god king was smeared with a mixture of fat and gold dust.
And I know from my own research that the Maya people and the Central and South American people have massive accounts and legends of the same reptilian gods.
Yes. The thing is, if you read the ancient stories of our people, or you listen to them spoken by the storytellers, you find that we human beings are somehow programmed to alter the world in which we live and render it uninhabitable to ourselves. We are told, say, by the griots of Nigeria, by the griots of the Dogon people, that at one time, a few thousand years ago almost, the entire Sahara Desert was not a desert at all. In fact, photographs have been taken of the certain parts of the Sahara from high up, which show ancient irrigation systems where there is now wind-blown desert. Questions: are we being used as instruments for the destruction of our own species? I say yes. The wealthier a person is, the more like a chitauri he or she behaves. Some wealthy people even go to the extent of throwing away their old spouses and acquiring new ones, exactly as King Samahongo of the Chitauri.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt this. That's very interesting. That the wealthier people act like reptilians. Isn't that interesting? That the wealth, that it's like, if you understand how integral reptilians, Namo, were in, like, I'm still gonna operate under the theory that the Namo are the grays in suits, because that makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know if that makes sense to other people, because they're amphibious. They would need to wear a covering to be on land, so to speak. But that if the wealthier a person gets, they become more reptilian. And that is so interesting, isn't it?
He kills and eats all his wives when they can no longer make love to him properly, and he acquires new ones. He killed and ate 36 of his wives over a long reign, and only one wife was cunning enough to keep out of his clutches. You see millionaires divorcing their wives and acquiring new wives. And the Chitauri, unlike traditional Africans, believe that a female is inferior to the male. And so do the wealthy people who acquire great wealth in this world. They tend to look down upon women and even to abuse them.
Well, let's connect this into the present day. And one thing that is a constant recurring theme is the reptilians or an extraterrestrial race interbreeding with humanity and creating particular bloodlines. And you've got an amazing artifact, I guess that's the word, necklace here, which I know is incredibly heavy, which has a very significant contribution to make to this theme of extraterrestrials or another race, not human, interbreeding with humanity. Now, first of all, where did this come from?
So, we don't know. This necklace has been around for so long that we don't exactly know from which tribe it came. All I can tell you is that This necklace was in existence when the king who founded the Zulu nation, Zulu, was still a boy. It is described in ancient legends centering around this king. It is called Inweba Yezimfihlo, the necklace of the mysteries. It is really a book which tells 12 different stories.
And how old do you think it is? How old do you know this history?
I don't know, sir. All I do know is that,
Hundreds of years?
yes, very old. But it's not as old as the green face that I've just shown you.
Oh, which is it?
The Chitauli face is said to be over 7,000 years old, this thing here. Now, this necklace enshrines several mysteries in it. Inside here are stones which are not from this earth. It is a very amazing story. There are 3 pebbles in here which stories say were brought to this earth by an alien baby which played with a human baby in the northern Transvaal. This,
First of all, that looks so much, well, it obviously looks very much like a spacecraft.
yes. This half-molten object here used to be a serpent-like necklace worn by a Mashona chief. He went to investigate something which had landed in the bush and which was killing his people. And he went with his battle axe to attack this object. And the object blew a jet of very terrible fire at the chief. And he became just smoke. And this was all that was left of him. Now, this necklace enshrines one of the oldest and the greatest mysteries in our country. That the God beings which we call by the name Chitauri and which are called Zishwezi or Imanugela in the languages of other tribes throughout Africa. These gods came down to the earth in great vessels made out of gold, and they united with female human beings to create a race of kings and queens on our earth. There isn't a tribe, Mr. Inga, anywhere in Africa. And when you return to South Africa, I will ask you to investigate this very closely. There isn't a tribe anywhere in Southern, Central, Western and Eastern Africa which doesn't claim that kingship was a system that was brought down from the sky by gods who either traveled in swings, as the pygmies of Zaire say, or who came down in huge vessels which were shaped like bows, vessels made of gold, vessels bigger than mountains. I wish to share these things with you, sir, as briefly as I can.
Now, I love the necklace. I love that. I love that stuff. And yeah, so, you know, some people who listen to this stuff, they might say that it's all made up, and that he's just making it up. but you listen to enough stories like this, and you know, the stories of us that have gone through things like this, they don't really change because they're memories. They're memories. You know, the memories, they may not be like perfect and pristine, but they don't really change. Like I can tell you specific things that happened to me. I have notes about them. I made videos about them. Merrick and I kind of joke that some of the things that we have, they're artifacts, like boxes of notes and stuff. Like we have all these notes about things that we went through and that we experienced, and they're all on note cards. And y'all would probably go, holy shit, y'all need to go through some of this stuff and look at it. Oh my gosh. These are the notes that we made from Anamo channeling. For those of you who are missing out on this stream, oh my God. This is information we got from the Namo about nicotine. From the Namo. I can't believe that this is the thing that I went to. Okay. So basically, nicotine helps to consolidate learned information in the brain. Short-term memory accuracy. I spoke this and then Merrick wrote it down. Nicotine improves attention, memory, and fine motor skills. Amazing for cognitive development. Relieving and stimulating at the same time. Nicotine increases activity across both hemispheres of the brain. Nicotine improves brain activity in users by enhancing activation in areas associated with visual attention, arousal. There's some things on here that I'm not going to repeat. But I'm going to pull these notes out because some of it I don't think I should share. But I remember, you know, Merrick grabbing note cards and writing things down whenever I was channeling Namo. They told us a lot of stuff. Nicotine stimulates the growth of new blood vessels, increases the number of red blood cells, puts users into an alpha brainwave state, which is characterized by effortless alertness, attention, and creativity. So, and I'm not sure why I pulled this out, but I don't know why this. There's these notes, man. I'm going to put these notes to the side because, especially when we were in Chicago, I would go into a trance and we just had note cards and we just would write stuff down. But I'll keep that notebook, keep these notes out. Thank you for your patience. I remember this when this came out. Science will eventually discover that nicotine itself is non-addictive and that people were smoking cigarettes to relieve symptoms that they were unaware they even had. That nicotine is a medicine for symptoms that people are unaware that they have. I'm going to put that one to the side too. I could do a whole thing on nicotine. Christelle says my last vice is nicotine. Very interesting info. Well, honey, some of these notes, I'm telling you, I used to think that somebody was going to steal these notes. We used to hide these notes. But I don't think anybody's going to steal them because, as I said, there's a spiritual block. Like, people are just completely uninterested in, not you guys, but it's just, there's a convention that's happening here in Hopkinsville, and they've got UFO people coming and all that kind of stuff. So I said, can I speak? I'd like to share some things I know about aliens and UFOs, and I've had alien experiences, and they just look at me like they don't even hear what I say. It's pretty crazy.
The Zulu people believed that they originated from space, and their name Zulu does not mean sky, but rather interplanetary space. And the word Zulu also has to do with traveling. For example, if I say to a child, you are getting about, you are moving from village to village lazily, I say, we are Zula, wena. Now the word Zula, which is used to refer to Zulus, sometimes contemptuously, in Zula, means really a traveler, a voyager, somebody moving from place to place. Where? In the Izu. Now I ask you, how did a land-bound people like the Zulus know that you could travel in space? We are Zula, a Zuluini. You can travel in the great place of traveling.
How do humans know anything? I mean, humans are not that smart. Well, humans are, but where do humans get their information? Like, it's a no-brainer to think that we were guided by other things. I mean, I think anybody can realize that, whether you call it God or angels or aliens or whatever, but something sparked us. I mean, look at the other animals on this planet. I don't think that we necessarily belong on this planet. If you think about it, if you really think about it, like, we live in houses. Isn't it strange? Isn't it strange? That if we think about the making of kings and queens and European culture and English, why did England become so dominant in this time? Where I live in Kentucky, the people who are from Kentucky, they look English. They look like they are straight from Britain. They look like Queen Elizabeth around here. Like, they have the nose and the face. They look English. I was in a meeting last night, and there was a girl speaking, and I'm like, you look so British. Like, she could just start speaking in a British accent, and it would be completely normal and natural. People around here look so British. It's kind of crazy.
For that matter, Zulu people knew that the earth was a sphere and that it was the sun that was still in space and the various planets orbited around it. I will show you on the other necklace of knowledge. And when a Zulu refers to the earth, he says, Umhlaba jikelele. Now, the word jikelele implies a spherical or a hemispherical object. But a Musutu or a Mutswana from Lesotho or from Botswana will refer to the world as Lefatshe, which means that which is down here. And he will say when he refers to the earth's shape, lefatshe ka bophara. Now this word ka bophara means the earth in its width. Thus, a Mosotho or a Motswana believes that the earth is flat, but the Zulus believe it is either a hemisphere or a sphere. The Zulu people were the first people to know something that is now attributed to Albert Einstein, namely that space and time are one and the same thing.
That's something also the Dogon tribe, they had cosmology. They knew about space, they knew about outer space, and knew the positions of certain stars, and knew things about cosmology that apparently modern people discovered. And I think that's wild that, you know, over in Africa, they're realizing or discovering things much earlier than were scientifically discovered. So, see, science is not gonna come up with anything new. They're called scientific discoveries. So you discover things that are already there. I'm saying that really clear. Like, science is not going to discover anything new. It's always there. We just couldn't see it before. And I think it's important to know that there aren't any scientific, there's no progress, essentially. In the Spirits book, it goes on. There's like a whole chapter about the folly of man and how people think that they're discovering things or coming up with things, and really that's not what's going on. It is things that are already there. And I know people are concerned about CERN and opening dimensional rifts and all of that. There's nothing to discover. There's actually, when you get really stupid, you can actually access the truth about things, and the truth will be revealed to you. I don't talk too much about these experiences because I want you guys to realize stuff on your own, and it'll be revealed to you. I can't tell you the truth. It'll be revealed to you. It's spelled Nommo, Namo, N-O, I'll put that in the chat. Nommo, Namo. All right.
Zulus knew that long before Einstein was born. They said that one other Zulu name for space is Umkhati. Umkhati. U-M-K-H-A-T-H-I. Umkhati. And they called time Isikati. So you can see that Zulus, supposedly a nation of skin-wearing primitives, were aware of the fact that space and time are one and the same thing. And further, that if you could find the river of time, you could travel into the future and into the past. And many are the ancient legends which are told in Zululand of a man who traveled through time.
I'm not exactly sure how that's spelled, Crystal. When I get through with this whole series, I'm probably going to do a video about everything that was unlocked, because I feel like things are getting unlocked for me listening to him. And I think that he's helping me unlock some things. And I'm not going to focus too much on what he's saying, because he's already said it. And I don't know the spelling of that, but I will find out the correct spellings and all of that when the series is completed. So, because I want to talk about what I learned, what was unlocked for me. The things that have been really interesting to me, especially in this video, is that the grays might be Namo. That makes a whole lot of sense to me.
And you accidentally killed a young boy who turned out to be himself in the past, and so he no longer existed.
There's an indication on the necklace, I know, around the back that the Earth is round. One of the symbols is indicating that, or a sphere.
Yes.
But I wonder what you think, Credo, of what is taught to children and students all over the world, in the universities and the fancy academic centers, that actually we are now at the cutting edge of human evolution in terms of technological knowledge and knowledge of the world and the universe. And in fact, back in the ancient world, in Africa and North Africa and all over South America, they were just the primitive people.
Please, that is a lot of poppycock. In fact, in my long investigation into our past, I can tell you proudly that our ancestors were 20 times cleverer than we are. What I feel and what I think is that in the past, human beings were cleverer than we are today, and that human beings knew more than we know now.
I totally get this. I totally get this. And, you know, just because a society is technologically advanced, it doesn't mean that they're more knowledgeable. It doesn't mean that. I don't think, I mean, I think our society right now is acting very stupidly, very dumb, very stupid. But I also know that what's making people dumb is the ego. The ego has to be purged. It's no longer necessary. That we've evolved to the point. Cristal says, and then they dumbed us down. I don't even think that it's evil. I don't even think it's on purpose. I think it is a part of that it's natural. That, you know, where is that a ghost? Merrick?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you sneeze?
Yeah.
Can you bring me some peppermint pills? Okay. So I think that it's just that as the ego comes up in everybody, that the more ego, because ego is dumb, the ego is stupid. So maybe human beings aren't dumb, it's the ego. Like Natalie says, humans aren't very smart. The being part can be very wise and knowledgeable, though, because when you take away the ego, there is the being. And perhaps in these ancient societies, the ego wasn't very pronounced.
What do you need?
2 peppermint pills?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, honey. Because I'm going to eat lunch here in about 30 minutes. You have to take these peppermint pills 30 minutes before you eat. So, but it's the ego. It's not in the collective ego as well. But I think it's reaching a point where it's no longer, it's not workable. And, you know, thank you, darling. So do you want to see Merrick's new haircut? Come here.
Oh, yeah.
Merrick got his haircut.
For those who weren't there this morning for the live
Yeah,
stream.
there he is.
I did.
Look
Hi,
how cute
everyone.
you look.
I'm going to make something really tasty for lunch.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I love you. So Merrick is my Jewish handler. No, we joke. Merrick is my handler. So we joke about that. I think the ego is the creator of a lot of this technology, because the ego needs things to be very complicated and it can't be simple. So I think many of these ancient cultures didn't have as pronounced of an ego. Crystal says handsome men. Well, thank you, honey. Thank you.
We are not progressing, Mr. We are simply rediscovering things that were known by better men and better women than we are.
How's he saying the same thing that I'm saying? Isn't that interesting?
ago. I wish to offer you proof of this, some of it at least. Say, there are things that I have found in my travel through the world.
Thank you, reality designers, and thank you for the support. Reality designers throws us some bones through Cash App. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I wanna say that I feel like all of my partners have been agents too, but Merrick broke the rule. He's not gonna handle me. He turned against. He's like, he was sent to handle me, but he fell in love with me. Oh, what a shame.
Things that prove to me that our ancestors were highly advanced in chemistry. Our ancestors had become so clever that they could take science and reduce it to such a simple level that they were able to help hundreds of starving human beings after some traumatic happening in the past.
Let's concentrate on some of the images on the necklace and the symbols, because that leaves no doubt that a lot of knowledge has been around for a very much longer time than we are ever told. First of all, on the hand, I'm seeing the eye. Now, the all-seeing eye and the symbol of the eye is one the Illuminati use all the time. And it's one, of course, that was a very big symbol of ancient Egypt, the Eye of Ra and what have you. Why is that eye there on that hand?
Well, before, I want to talk a little bit about Illuminati, ruling classes. There has to be a hierarchy. There does. And there are things that ordinary people cannot know or would not be able to handle knowing. So I've never once thought that the Illuminati were bad, or that, because I myself have interacted with, the secret network of shamans that help each other. So there are things that need to be occulted for the functioning of humanity, society, whatever you want to say. So I've never thought that the rulers were bad or that hierarchies were bad. They're necessary. Could you imagine? And I know that many people might disagree with me. They'll look at the tragedies and the violence done towards people. But what about the things that work? What about the things that work? I mean, I can go to Walmart and buy bacon. There has to be an order to that stuff. And like reality designer says, higher control can be a good thing. Not everyone can handle high reality knowledge. Absolutely. Because they'll misinterpret that. Like I said I wasn't going to talk about her anymore, but the girl that gave me a copyright strike, she's telling people information from a point of view that is inaccurate. And I'm not going to say that everything that a ruler does is right, but I can also say that I'm just a bug. I may not understand why they're ruling in such a way, or that they're doing things in a certain way. We have an epidemic right now, and people are pissed at the president and intelligence agencies. They demand answers. They want information. They want it now. And I'm like, I don't think you'd be able to handle they're like, release the Epstein files. If they release those Epstein files, there might be mass panic in the streets. I'm okay with them not releasing the Epstein files, because I don't need to know all that. The functioning of my life does not rely on who shot JFK or any of that stuff. But people seem to want this secret hidden knowledge. And I'm telling you, through my experiences, and I'm sure Merrick could say, hey, Merrick, could people handle knowing the stuff that we know? No, probably not. That's why I don't share it with all that many people. And if you understand that some things can't be known, some things need to be occulted, some things need to be hidden from humanity, because do you really want everybody in America going insane all at once? Here, let me give you an example of this. So people say that the CIA puts drugs on the street, that they're the ones that put the drugs that get people addicted on the streets. Well, I'm going to tell you, the people who use drugs, the people who are addicts, they are the ones that are spiritually set up. They're not trying to numb them out or kill. They're keeping society functioning, because if you took away everybody's drugs, society would crumble. So if you're looking at like, man, the government puts the drugs on the streets, well, maybe they have to. Maybe people need to use drugs, because if they were to suddenly come into reality as it actually was, as anybody who's gotten sober, anybody hearing my voice, if you've gotten sober and you went through those 12 steps or alchemical healing, and you come face to face with reality as it actually is, there would be, many people could not handle that. So there needs to be an Illuminati. There needs to be people who are the stewards of this hidden knowledge. It's not for everybody. Shamanism isn't for everybody. Most people would not be able to handle working with a shaman because of the things that you see and the things that you come to understand. I mean, I've had people have full-on meltdowns and come aparts when I'm just speaking with them, just having conversations with them, talking about what's true and what's false. Many people could not handle the truth. And you might have experienced this in your life as an awakened person or as a spiritual person. You talk to ordinary people, they have come aparts. They call you crazy. They call you names. So I've never really thought that any of this stuff was evil or bad. I mean, I was raised Catholic, and that's some demonic, crazy shit. But this is the way it's happening. This is the way that it's all unfolding. And I am completely fine with not knowing the reasons for things, but knowing that this is the way they are. Look at the movie Cabin in the Woods, and what those people were put through in Cabin in the Woods. And the reason, and I don't want to spoil that movie for you, but I believe that movie is a disclosure. A lot of movies are disclosure. They'll let you know just enough to keep things at bay or to keep society functioning. But I know there's a higher order at play, and I know everything is fine and that everything is going to be fine. But so when David Icke talks about this, I don't buy into the fear of it. I'm not afraid of it. And I know that that a lot of these things that we don't know about, well, we can't know about them. Who really wants to know all of this stuff?
It presents the terrible eye of the Chitauli, the eye which
Joanne
sees
Dunn,
everything,
IME donated
the
£2
eye
through
which
Super
knows
Chat.
everything.
I appreciate you.
It is said
Thank you for
that
sharing
when
your truth.
a Chitauli dies, he passes his dead eye onto his next of kin. And to the Chitauli, an eye is a very, very powerful symbol. This is the eye of the Chitauli.
Did you hear that? That when he dies, he passes it on to his eye to the next of kin. Is that the eye that is in the middle of the head? The eye that kills you by looking at you?
But there is more to this thing. Here there is a hole that goes right through the copper. Now if you put water in that hole, you end up with a simple magnifying microscope, and you can see germs through that water. The magnification is amazing.
The great symbol that's pointed out again and again on the dollar bill, which is on the reverse of the Great Seal of the United States,
Yes.
put on there by the Illuminati, a president called Franklin Delano Roosevelt, is the all-seeing eye. And so is it your understanding that the all-seeing eye, when it's used by the Illuminati, represents this third eye of the
So people are afraid of cash money going away with all of that symbolism on the paper money. People are scared of digital currencies without maybe realizing that maybe the paper money going away is a good thing with all that symbolism and all that stuff on there. I mean, I don't think it's not bad. Digital currencies, why are these old world people so scared of this new technology? They're like, it's going to enslave us. It's going to enslave us. But what if it didn't? What if it was freedom? Natalie says, I don't know that eye. I know about the great eye that sucks up misery and pain. Yeah. And I'm going to ask everybody that follows me, let's start looking at the good stuff about it. Let's start seeing like the possibilities of it. Some people say that people are being lured into a new system, but maybe we're being granted freedom out of an old one. Some people just are going to look at anything like this as enslavement. And I think that reveals more about their mental state. Like Justine Bateman on X, she goes on and on about AI slop and AI is never going to do it. And I'm like, AI is democratizing creation. Like our album that we made with using AI, and I love our album. We couldn't have made it without it. Well, I don't have the time or even the patience to be able to. I was like, man, I don't have to record instruments anymore. I don't have to record vocals. I mean, I will still do vocals, but I was really excited because all the albums that we have made, by the time we release the album, I am sick of the songs. I have heard them so many times, I don't want to hear them anymore. Because when you're mastering but with this album, I didn't get sick of the songs, and I could listen to the album when we were done and be excited to share it with other people. So AI is freeing I don't think people are seeing how these technologies are going to free us. I know reality designers concede that, but being scared of these technologies seems old world. The old systems aren't going to go quietly. No. But not having that symbolism of that money, that might be something that's very good for us.
Yes, I do. I really am sure of this. Why? Because in Africa, even ordinary human eyes are regarded as very powerful devices of magic. If an African shows you respect, he mustn't stare at you, but he must stare at a point beyond one of your shoulders. Now, we call this hlonipa, which means deny me your eyes. We believe that when emotionally roused, an ordinary human being can inflict great damage on another human being by the unseen fires that emanate from one's eyes. We believe that a Zulu warrior must never allow his dying enemy to look at him. For example, when a Zulu was killing an enemy, he used to cover that enemy's face with his shield to prevent the enemy looking upon him with his eyes and putting a curse upon him.
It's interesting. People who experienced the Chitahuli, the reptilians, in relationship to the British royal family and others at various rituals, have said that at the point of sacrifice, the point of death in the sacrifice, that these reptilians stare into the eyes of the person dying, which would kind of fit why those warriors were very concerned about that.
Yes, sir.
What are they doing then?
We have got rituals which covers many fields. A ritual which is called ukuthatha umoya, taking away the soul, where when a king is dying and he is fighting to pass on his knowledge and his courage to his successor, he would demand that the successor should stare heavily into the dying king's eyes. And also, when a creature is being sacrificed in Africa, whether it's a human being or an animal, that creature must be stared at by the sacrificer so that its spiritual characteristics are drunk in by the one sacrificing. I have seen many times on hunting expeditions in Kenya, Tanzania, and other parts of Africa, when a lion is just about to breathe its last, the hunter, one of the hunters, will stare into the lion's eyes until the lion's eyes start glazing in death. It is drinking in the soul. We believe that the eyes are not just for seeing, that they are for taking as well.
Now, on the hand here is what looks like the symbol of the constellation of Orion. What's the significance of that?
Says, people throughout Africa believe that the original human beings either came from Orion or the gods for whom read the Chitauli and many other alien nasties actually come.
Alien nasties, not Asian nasties. I think we're pretty good at hearing that I'd like the Asian nasties that actually come
from that constellation. We call it the constellation of Umhambi, the one who travels very, very far away. And we call this constellation also the constellation of Matsieng, the giant who was sent by God to this earth to create the first human beings. Matsieng was accompanied by a male lion with a very black mane, and he was also accompanied by his dog. And he traveled throughout the world. He first created the first race of human beings, and they were so stupid in appearance that he buried them alive in a cave, and then he created the next race of human beings, which was clever, and we are the descendants of that race. Also,
I'm going to leave it there for today. Hold on just a second. I'm gonna see if I can get my husband. Okay, so in this documentary, he talked about the Greys and about how they were wearing suits.
Yeah.
And do you want to get in, lean down?
Scooch.
Just bend down. Okay. And that there were underneath there were fish scales. And so I was like, are the Greys Namo in Gray Alien
in disguise?
Yeah,
Namo in disguise.
Because they don't talk much about Namo, do they? Like, we don't ever hear about Namo.
No. Is he talking about Namo?
No, not yet. But I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And look what I found. Remember when the Namo?
Because Namo are specific to the Dogon tribe.
Yeah, but look. Yeah. Remember the channelings about nicotine? Do you remember those?
Oh yeah.
So I just put my hand on those notes.
Perfect timing for Cigar Saturday.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. But remember all the stuff?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
I do some of that. I mean, a lot of that's in my handwriting too.
It is in your handwriting because I was channeling and you were writing.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap up this stream.
All right, good.
Okay.
Lunch will be ready soon.
Yeah. Natalie says, one of the most clear and most important messages I've received from Spirit is that there are no enemies and demons, aliens, etc. Nothing to fear. The darkness must be brought to light through love and compassion. Accept all, reject none. And I'm going to be leaning heavier into acceptance. And I'm going to be talking a lot more about the Namo as well, because that's something that is often not talked about very much in these circles. And so we got through 2 hours so far of the documentary. We're about 2.5 hours through it. And so we have how long is this documentary? So we have about 4 hours of the documentary left. And I'm going to continue to do this every Saturday. Next Saturday. The Goblin Con, if you're in Kentucky or Nashville or close by, the convention Goblin Con, it celebrates the alien invasion that happened here in 1955. And I'm going to connect that alien invasion with the work of Edgar Cayce at some point for you guys. All right, so I'm going to let you go because I'm going to go eat lunch and go smoke a cigar and have a really stupid and dumb afternoon with my husband. And I want you guys to have a dumb afternoon as well. Please don't think too deeply about anything. Everything is happening for the benefit of all. Thank you, channel members. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for it all. I appreciate you guys so much. And I will see you on Monday for a new episode of the Shaman Patrick Show, where I interview an expert on male-female relationships. Isn't that going to be fun? So thank you all for joining me. I love you so much. And I will see you on the next one. All right? Bye-bye. Oh, don't forget to get our book, if you haven't already. Machinations of Ego on concreteshamans.com. Bye-bye.